Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 19th, and today we're going to do a recap on the storm system that moved through the area. Brought some pretty good power outages across the region, brought some trees down, and brought some gusts up into the 50s for the northwest interior, 60s up there on the north tip of Vancouver Island, 40s through the Puget Sound. I did hear Whidbey Island got a 65-mile-per-hour gust, though. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you can see the system on the infrared satellite imagery just north of the USA border across Montana here. It's ushered in all this cold air behind it, and this thing is going to spawn some severe weather for portions of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin today. We'll take a brief look around the rest of the country as well. That severe weather is going on eastern portions of the USA, and you can see this ridging is going to start to try to build in here for a few days. So we might get a nice couple of days here across much of the Pacific Northwest before we start to introduce troughing on into the extended. So we'll look at that extended forecast here as well. So I wanted to show you guys this and why when you increase the wind speeds, things start to get so much more damaging. Take a 30-mile-per-hour wind gust and increase that to 43. You've doubled the pressure force of that wind gust. Take a 35-mile-per-hour wind gust and put that to 50. You've doubled it. So that's a pretty substantial gust at 35 miles per hour even. And then you double that strength there when you go to 50 miles per hour. When you go from 42 to 60, you're doubling that pressure force there. So this just kind of shows you might not think there's a huge difference between a 30 and a 40 mile per hour gust, but it's pretty substantial in the amount of damage it can cause to trees and structures. And even a 20 to 28 mile per hour gust, you're doubling that pressure force of that wind gust. So this kind of highlights the reason why we start to get so damaging once we start to get above 40 miles per hour. We've got such huge trees around here, and all our trees have brand new growth, which act as sails on those branches. And that's why it brought down some trees and large branches yesterday, and that's what caused all those power outages. Here's the Beaufort wind scale. You can look this up on Google too. This is once we start getting above gale force winds, you start to get damage to the Puget Sound. And there's some good descriptors in here too. Other Beaufort wind scales will talk about when things start to happen, structural damage, when trees start to come down. And you can see as you move up the scale here, Whidbey Island had a gust up towards 60 knots yesterday, and that's considered violent storm. Although a place like Whidbey Island is more used to those type of winds, so the trees are they're more used to them, let's say. Some of the trees to the Puget Sound are more susceptible, especially once you get above 40 miles per hour, to start coming down and causing damage. Now looking at briefly Spokane, there is still some gusty winds, eastern slopes of the Cascades, but they're going to calm down a bit tonight, and then you can get some damage to sensitive plants with all this chilly air around the frosty morning. There's actual some freeze warnings down there for southwest or southern Washington Cascade area too. Still a wind advisory for the Ellensburg area as these winds continue to fill in as this low pressure moves off to the east as well. So taking a look around the rest of the country really quickly here also. So you can see that tornado threat across portions of Missouri, Kentucky, up towards Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. And so heads up if you're traveling out there. Day 2, you can see the thunderstorm threat for eastern Washington, portions of eastern Oregon, Idaho, and Montana as well. We still have this cold air aloft moving through the region on through tomorrow. And look through day 3, and it's going to continue on even through. So today is Thursday, Friday. This will be Saturday for eastern portions of the state, Idaho Panhandle and western Montana. So heads up for that. Now looking at this, it's the NAM 3KM, and you can still see the winds are still going down the strait right now. They're still going for the eastern slopes of the Cascades. And you can finally see these start to wane as we go through the early morning hours of Friday. They finally start to calm down here a bit. So you might get some patchy blowing dust around areas of eastern Washington on through the day today, but nothing like yesterday. Now, why was it so windy through the night yesterday? Well, if you look at this is the low pressure system moved by north, and you can see the high pressure fill in behind that. So last night we kept continuing to build in this high pressure through the region. And I know that I heard those gusts going on till at least midnight at my house before I fell asleep finally. And, we still had that wind going down the strait and eastern slopes of the Cascades, the wind still howling. So you can see that system moving through here, and the pressure rise was the reason for those winds going on through last night and continuing on through today. Now, taking a look at temperature potential today, we're not going to get that warm, but maybe upper 50s for the Sounder, Willamette Valley, into the 60s for eastern Washington. And again, we'll warm up a little bit more on the day Friday, and a little bit more still on Saturday. So kind of a gradual warm up to this week, and might get some nice days around the region, cause for celebration for western portions of the state. I mean, these temperatures are just maybe around normal, but it's going to be pretty substantial from what we've been getting the last few weeks. Here's the hurricane for this today. We're not going to get that warm today, but it will be nice for any areas that are getting sun breaks, mainly western Washington. Remember, there is a thunderstorm threat for portions of Oregon and southern Washington today, so there'll be some more clouds through Oregon versus western Washington, eastern Washington today. So we're going to skip that. Let's take a look at the wave heights. You can see they rapidly drop off this weekend. Might be nice for beachcombers on through this weekend before another potential system moves through later next week. We'll watch that here in the extended forecast. You can see those wave heights build there on Thursday morning, Wednesday night. This is a 24-hour precipitation running total. You can see how it ends from north to south as the residual showers continue. And then we still have cold air aloft around tomorrow. So some of the higher terrain could get some showers, maybe even a thunderstorm for eastern Washington, Idaho panhandles we go through the day Saturday. And then some more systems will start to approach on into our extended, which we're going to look at here very shortly. And here we go. Now you can see the system kind of dive through and move through the area, and that pressure rise again, what's continuing our breezy conditions today. And you can see the ridge building up over here, British Columbia, and you can see a little bit of a thermal trough trying to form there in California. Does not make much headway up into Washington. We might briefly turn offshore there Saturday morning, but then we'll quickly go back onshore. So we're not going to get incredibly warm for this time of year, but we will be up closer to normal, maybe even above normal for some areas, but not incredibly warm. No record highs or anything like that coming up. Now here's general ridge and trough position. There goes our trough moving through the area. And we build this ridge, and then quickly the troughs are not very far away though here, but the GFS does hold this ridge on through mid next week before pretty good trough reforming here on into the extended forecast. Now let's see if the European agrees with that. I gave you a little hint there already. There goes our trough, tries to build this ridge in, but you notice this trough kind of hang on through Saturday, keeps that thunderstorm threat going for eastern portions. Ridge builds, and then we start to bring this troughing in on the west coast again later on into May. So pretty good agreement with the European and the GFS there. And boy, it just really hangs this trough out all the way probably into early June. And we'll take a look at some of the extended outlook temperature maps that were released today as well. So stay with me here. Here's the Canadian model. This also is similar. So we bring that trough through. The ridging tries to build as this troughing tries to hold on a little bit. And the Canadian's pretty quick with bringing that next trough through the area. And then the Gulf of Alaska low more established here on the Canadian. So we do have a little bit of disagreement there. But generally, all three models are agreed that there will be troughing on in through late May across the region here. But we'll take that one day at a time. Seattle-Tacoma, this is the new European run. Actually, it was last night, 06Z. But you can see that Sunday might be a pretty nice day across the region as we get up towards 70 degrees for Seattle. And maybe this will trend even a little bit higher. We'll have to see how that goes. But a nice day Saturday, too, up towards normal potentially. And then Monday, you'll notice a little bit of disagreement between some of the ensemble runs here. And we look to cool down again as we get towards midweek as that troughing tries to get close to the area. And here's looking at that here, too. This would be below average for the extended. Remember, Seattle starts to get up towards the upper 60s this time of year. So maybe a couple days near average this weekend, or maybe Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We'll see how that goes. Take a closer look at that tomorrow. Portland International Airport, you can see up towards normal maybe this weekend, but it'll seem pretty nice compared to what we've had the last few weeks. And you can see the troughing return in the extended. But we'll take that a day at a time. This was released yesterday, a 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Check out the Pacific Northwest. We always seem to be included in this during our La Nina winters. And this is no exception coming up here. Look at the 8 to 14 day forecast, late May to early June there. Strong signal for below average temperatures. Monthly temperature outlook for June, just released today. Look at this. Only the Pacific Northwest, Western Washington, Western Oregon, and above average for majority of the country here. Monthly precipitation outlook for June, just equal chances, maybe below average there for portions of Oregon and southern Idaho. And this is seasonal temperature outlook just released today, June, July, August. You can see equal chances for, so we're looking at pretty much a normal summer for western Washington, but once you start to get down into Oregon, eastern Washington, Idaho, and Montana, you quickly start to increase your chances for above average temperatures for this summer. So we'll continue to watch this, and we'll see how this trends. Season precipitation outlook. You can see much of the Pacific Northwest. It has a below average signal as we go on in through the summer months here. We'll see how this turns out. Check this out. A little bit of an above average signal down here. This would mean active monsoon again for Arizona. They had an active year last year as well. Also a La Nina year. A good vacation idea is maybe the Grand Canyon or some places down there, Phoenix, Arizona, and get your cameras out and try to practice some lightning shots. Nice high bases, beautiful scenery, beautiful sunsets, and try to capture some of those lightning bolts on some long exposure shots is really a fun vacation idea. And look at this. So we're moving through into mid-June where we tend to peak out at almost 16 hours of daylight here across much of the Pacific Northwest. Glorious time of year, you know, one of the best places really in the world. We get low humidity, nice temperatures, long days. So, you know, Seattle and the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia is really a great place to be in summer. And you can see our daylight start to drop off as we get towards the summertime. Check out, so once you start getting towards late December, 8 hours, 26 minutes. Mid-June, we're at 16 hours basically of daylight. So pretty interesting fact there. So yeah, residual showers today that might continue on through Friday and Saturday as well. We should warm up this weekend a bit though and get kind of nice, especially Sunday. And then we'll look at some troughing returning in the extended, and we'll look at this day by day. I'll do another briefing as always tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that windstorm. It's a pretty unique system there yesterday. My first windstorm at my location, 10 years since I've been here. So a very unique system for me, 41 miles per hour. And yeah, so we'll do this again tomorrow. We'll check out some of these temperatures and we'll take a look at our extended as always. So I will talk to you later.